$20,300
So you're out $20,000.
just in rent.
Tonight, an exclusive look at the struggles landlords are still having a year into the pandemic. They used to have the power to evict, but in many cases, an executive order has removed that tool.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Matthew Campbell is joining us right now. And Matthew, you have an extreme example, really, of some of the struggles landlords are facing.
Yes, Mark and Aaron, we got the eyewitness perspective tonight. The coronavirus pandemic has protected tenants to the point where they essentially didn't need to pay rent. But now that things are opening up, we're seeing the consequences.
It hits you hard.
We were warned to hold our breath before walking into this East Hartford home, but even then, we weren't prepared for what greeted us on the other side.
And as you can see, there was a rodent that just came out of the dog food bag.
Michael Sullivan owns this South Prospect Street home. He says his tenant stopped paying in November of 2019, so he started the eviction process. But then the pandemic hit. Courts closed in March, and via an executive order, tenants were essentially protected from eviction with a few exceptions.
If you're not current with your rent up to and including the month of February 2020, then you can file your paperwork for eviction, which I did.
Eric Parker is WFSB's legal expert.
Even if you had the grounds, criminal activity, severe nuisance, damaging the premises, the housing courts weren't really operating.
With the executive order, people can stay in their homes, knowing the rent will come due in full. And Sullivan says many of his struggling tenants have paid a portion, if not the full thing, but not all.
He said, they say, I'll stay here as long as I want because I'm protected.
The state offers landlord and tenants protection, but Sullivan says it's contingent on the tenant cooperating, and his didn't.
The rental assistance is to help him. So if he falls behind, he can fill out the paperwork, and what would happen is the state would pay up to $4,000 going forward in rent to assist him to get through that struggle.
Housing courts reopened in the fall, and Sullivan says the tenant delayed the eviction, claiming to have medical issues.
He's got a stockpile of dialysis. He's got over 60 cases all through the house that he's never even touched. But he had to use that in the housing court saying, I'm very sick.
Yesterday, Sullivan's case was heard and his tenant was out. But Sullivan says he left this mess behind along with a dog. The images so disturbing, we're not showing them.
This is the living condition of the dog as of yesterday.
While this is not your ordinary case, legal experts predict when the courts go back in person, the evictions are going to come in like a tidal wave.
Landlords are either going to have to cut forbearance deals, give a break to some of these tenants so they don't have to pay as much as they should have, or they're going to be able to evict them. Because the bottom line is rent was not excused. It was paused.
Now, housing court remains virtual and many pre-pandemic cases are being heard, so there's still a lot of catching up to do. Sullivan says animal control will be out tomorrow to investigate the living condition of that dog. Live here at the digital desk tonight, Matthew Campbell, Channel 3 News.